Next, we are very fortunate to have the founder and CEO of Grassroot Soccer join us. Today, the impact of grassroots soccer reverberates far beyond the confines of the soccer field. Through a deep understanding of what young people need, our guest has set an example of what sports youth-based programs should be, and successfully integrated mental health education and HIV prevention into soccer camps. With that, I'm truly honored to welcome Tommy Clark.
Hello. Hi, everybody. You can hear me? So my job in the next 15 minutes or less is to convince you that this could be an overlooked and powerful tool to fight the adolescent mental health scourge. So you can decide if I'm successful or not. I have 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Let me first go back. Andreas this morning was talking about how all these young people eventually will get older. I can confirm that's the case. 25 years ago, I was a professional soccer player playing in Zimbabwe. And life was good. The team that I played for was one of the most popular teams in Africa. It's called Highlanders. We would get 25,000 people at all of our home games. Everywhere in town, when we drove around, people would honk their horns and they wave from their cars. And the birds sang, the sun shone. It was a beautiful time. I was a center midfielder, and two of the guys I played with, one guy's name was Benji Kanjera. He was a little guy, and he was incredible. He had reflexes like a mongoose, and I had to guard him in training, and it was almost impossible. Another guy that I played with, his nickname was Ninja McKay, and he was just a beautiful human being, beautiful soccer player, and in a couple of years, both Benji and McKay both passed away from HIV. Our right fullback also passed away, our backup goalkeeper, our left winger. A lot of people died from HIV and AIDS. In some ways, what they also died from was a lack of good information, life-saving information that things could have gone very differently for them. The other thing, they died with no support, no medical support, no social support. There was so much stigma around the disease that nobody would, I even remember one story of Benji going into the bank and people not being, people at the bank not even being able to, they wouldn't even serve him. So that's how things were. And so I decided to do something. I returned from Zimbabwe. I went to medical school in the US at Dartmouth. I trained in pediatrics. I went on and specialized in HIV, University of California, San Francisco, or UCSF. I trained with some of the best researchers in the world. But the whole time, as I was on this path, I was thinking to myself, I think the answer lies back in Zimbabwe. It lies back on the soccer field. That's what I just had this hunch. I just knew it. And so with my former teammates, we got together. We started a nonprofit, Grassroot Soccer, over 20 years ago now. And our mission was simple. We wanted to use the power and the magic of soccer to have young people take ownership for their health, empower those young people using the sport of soccer. So that was what we did. You might be asking, why soccer? Well, the first thing, as Tassos, example said, when the professional soccer player is involved, it's very exciting. Everybody wants to show up. Everybody wants to listen. So soccer had an incredible way to attract young people. And you can't work with young people until you get their attention. So that was the first thing. The second thing was the game of soccer. It allowed us to make learning a lot of fun. We could use games, so we could play catch, and one person would dribble one soccer ball, one person would dribble two soccer balls, and one person wouldn't have a soccer ball. And we would play tag. And the soccer ball would represent a sexual partner. And the person who would get caught was the person dribbling two soccer balls. Sometimes one soccer ball person would get caught. So that was an idea. That was a way to make the learning memorable. To make it fun, because once you have the young people there, now you have to keep their attention. The last thing with soccer, just how incredibly popular it is around the world. So that was the idea. And so 20 years later, there's over 18 million young people have gone through these programs. We've worked with over 50 partners across Africa and around the world. We've raised close to 130 million US dollars. We've done 40 different research studies, including some randomized controlled trials. And so this has gone from a nice idea to something big, something that the world is taking notice of, and most importantly, that's changing the lives of young people. We're using our approach not just in HIV, but other issues, gender-based violence, unplanned pregnancy, malaria, and now increasingly mental health. I first came sort of face-to-face with the mental health crisis in Zimbabwe. There was a woman there, one of our coaches, her name is Taonga. She's HIV positive. She's incredibly inspiring. She's a fierce individual, and she's a lot of fun. She was telling me, we were looking at data, and we were having a hard time with a lot of the young people who are HIV positive staying on treatment. And I was asking her, what was going on? Why were we having this trouble? And she told me, these young people they feel hopeless, they're depressed, they're anxious. And unless we treat their mental health, we can't think about treating their HIV. And so that conversation was a turning point for me. I realized mental health is the foundation. If you ignore it at your peril. So that was Tonga. And I also found that there was a lot of parallels between HIV and mental health. These were enormous problems. They affected young people. The problem was growing, and there was a lot of stigma. And so I thought at Grassroot Soccer, what can we do? First thing is, we know adolescents quite well. And the adolescent brain, in some ways you can think of it like wet cement. It hasn't set yet. It's such a critical window of time. And we had a methodology, a way of working with adolescents, and lessons learned, beliefs, behaviors, identities in adolescence, those will end up lasting a lifetime, those memories that will last a lifetime. So we had a way of reaching adolescents. Second thing is we had access. We have this partnership network and a way of working with partners, so we felt that we could access a huge number of people. So the next step for Grassroots Soccer was to see if we could design a mental health curriculum. And so with support from Stavros Niarchos Foundation, we've taken our methodology and we've adapted it for mental health. The program is called Mind Skills. Just to give you an idea of what this program is like. Remember I talked earlier about my friends Benji, my teammates, and McKay. Lacking information, lacking support. And so we're taking those two things and applying them to mental health. And so if you think about for young persons, think about stress. Young people, they feel stress, it affects them, but they might not be able to name it. They might not understand what they're feeling. And so we'll play a little game. A little circle, maybe 6 or 7 people, and we can throw a soccer ball or we can pass a soccer ball. And we can talk about all the things that young person needs to balance in their life. School, maybe you have exams coming up. Chores, what type of chores? Maybe you have to feed the animals. maybe you have to help in the yard, maybe you have to look after your younger sibling. And so every time a young person names one of these things, we add it to the circle. And so at the beginning, we're passing one ball, and it's quite easy. Then we're passing 2 and 3 and 5. Pretty soon, the balls start to drop. And so we'll talk to those young people. What happens when the ball drops? What happens when you become, there are just too many things in your life to manage. What can you do? So it's a nice physical way to demonstrate. And then one of the things young people can do is they can think, well, what could we do? They come up with the answers themselves. Well, do I need to be having some of these balls you have to take, but some of them are optional. Sometimes you can take a time out. So we'll work on taking a breath. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Nice and simple, relax. So people can take a time out, so it's another way. So that's one activity of many, the type of activities that we'll do with young people. So they have vocabulary around mental health, they have some tools, and they're starting to build a community that talks about it. The other thing we'll do is, the community part is very important. So for young people, thinking about who are the people that support you in your life. And using a soccer analogy, what happens if your teammate, you make a pass and your teammate makes a bad touch? If you shout at that person, the next time they get a ball, they're probably going to make a mistake. But if you're supportive to your teammate, you pat them on the back, you tell them it'll be okay. The next time they get the ball, maybe you give them some instruction or the coach gives them, they'll do better. So thinking about it with your mental health, who are the people who support you? Who are the people that you support? And starting to create this community where people are educated around mental health and they're now part of the solution, not just part of the problem. I'm trying to think. I think that's, I guess at this point, where the Mind Skills program, we're implementing it in Kenya. We're collecting data. And already we have 5 African countries, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, and Kenya, where the governments are very interested and working with us. There's 30 million adolescents in those 5 countries. And so our hope in the next 12, 18 months is to be working at scale in some of those countries. The adolescents need these tools, they need this education, and so we're working as hard as we can to make sure that we're there to support them. We're going to have Calvin come on stage and just, he'll demonstrate. He's going to lead us in something that we do with young people on the ground, but I'll leave it to him to explain more. He'll do a better job.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelvin Ngove from Grassroot Soccer. So at Grassroot Soccer, we give powerful praise to our participants who do well. So I'm going to give Mr. Tom a very, very big skills kilo. So we do it like this, a very, very big skills kilo. Skills. If we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I think, Rosalind, if the live stream, we have when you come in the front door on the right in the library, there's a live demo. And so tomorrow, I think at 11 o'clock, you can go and try out some of these activities if you're feeling energetic and not too sweaty. Just while we're waiting for that, I'll finish with the words of Mandela. So Mandela got this. He understood how powerful this could be. And he said that sport can change the world. And he also said that sport speaks to young people in a language that they understand. So I think if he was here, maybe he's listening in, I think he would understand. So thank you very much. Tommy.
Thank you so much, Calvin, for that powerful demonstration of the fun that we have as grassroots soccer. My name is Ndombigai Sengube, and I am a grassroots soccer coach from Zimbabwe. I would love to welcome you to our space at the Bookcave Library area. Please do join us as we have some exciting activities like Juggling My Life, as well as the Wristfield. And these activities where we leverage the power of soccer to educate on mental health, because we have an understanding that soccer is a universal language and we are playing for life. Thank you.